call the meeting to order. Full council complement in attendance tonight. Do we have any additions to the agenda? It's been amended once today. Any further additions?
Through Mr. Mayor, we have the tax rebate program 10.4 that's been added. It should be in your binders, and we're going to delete 16.0 facility rental. The vendor that we were working with wasn't ready with some information we required to finish off the contract, so we're going to remove that from the agenda.
That was 16.1, right? 16.1, okay, thank you. Yeah. 10.4 tax rebate, and then the removal of 16.1 in your closed session.
If I may.
Yes.
Through Mr. Mayor, there was a request for information for tonight's discussion related to the gym, and so that was presented and handed out to you. So you do have that for basically council discussion if you wish. So Councillor Simonowitz, you requested that information. Would you like it to be added to the agenda? Sure. Okay. We will put the gymnasium under
10.5 new business.
10.5 new business, yes.
Okay, any further additions or deletions from the agenda? Seeing none, can I get a motion, please?
I move to accept the agenda as amended.
All those in favor? So carried, unanimous. Okay, regular council meeting 6.1, regular council meeting from July 28th, 2026. Any errors or omissions that is noted in that? Seeing none, can I get a motion, please?
I move to accept the minutes from the council meeting of July 28th.
All those in favor? So carried, unanimous. New business, oh, sorry, not new business, finance, 7.1, corporate services financial report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I've prepared the July 2026 corporate services and finance report. You can see it's got all the bank account balances and loans and line of credit balances, as well as the loans to local authorities debenture, which I see now has an error in it, so I'll have to fix that number after. July 2026 budget versus actual reports are attached. I'll touch base on some of them after, but the highlights are the variances in the front page. Capital projects, we're near finalizing the vac truck purchase, if not already finalized. I think we're just waiting for the final documentation as well as the skid steer, and then the other projects are ongoing, but no major updates on those ones as of yet. There's taxes payable update balance. One thing to highlight in that area is obviously the tax agreements are ongoing, so I'm going to continue working on those and meeting with the residents and getting those arranged. Utility arrears balance is there. One thing to note that I didn't have a chance to put in is we ended up having our meeting with Rose Ridge for the regional garbage collection service that we've undertaken with them. So got some updates, kind of made some plans in there. They confirmed that they will work with GFL to maintain our contract to the October 1st start date, so we don't have to renew a contract with them because ours actually expires in August here, but we had waited to see what kind of happened with this. So they're going to take care of that for us, and basically just went over some high level items and some kickoff items. One thing that they did ask for was, and something that we'll talk about when we talk budget this year, is what do we want to provide for the allowance for drop-offs at the landfill. So right now we're offering 1,000 kilogram, basically free. We're the only one other than Legal to do that. Red Waters is 500. Bonaccord Morinville actually has a zero allowance. So something for us to look at for the service levels. We'll have some numbers and things to discuss when we get into the budget stuff. So start date is October 1st. For the new service. That's going to be for the circular materials recycling as well as the garbage. At a high level, the organics pickup is going to start in the spring. So we'll be getting weekly organics pickup for the months of May to November, I believe. They usually fluctuate just depending on when the snow goes away and when people start doing stuff. Sometimes they'll do it a week early, sometimes they'll do it a week late, but we'll obviously communicate that. And then after that, the high period, it's weekly, and then in the winter time, it's actually, fall winter is going to be bi-weekly. So a decent service provided there. One other thing too with that is they did confirm at this time, especially, no promises for the future, as it's something that they'll be looking at, but bin sizes won't change. So the organics bin is going to be a new bin, but the garbage bins are going to remain the same size. So everything should stay status quo, and we'll actually have a little bit of a service level increase as a result of that too. So we will have updated pricing and everything once we get everything sorted from them, but we'll be talking about all those come budget time here. So everything should stay as it is. We will probably have some bylaw and policy changes that will have to get done, but we'll be working with Rose Ridge on that, and they're actually providing us with heavy duty communications plan and things like that. So you'll start to see a lot of communication coming out, and everything. The nice thing about this whole thing is it takes all of the service requirements off of our plate, and basically just they've told us we're the ones doing it. So if we get inquiries coming in, anything like that, they're going to be providing the service, and I believe that their service level will be higher than what we're able to provide, because this is their specialty. This is what they do. So very, very good opportunity, and I'm pretty sure actually all of the regional areas have undertaken this. So this is going to be all across the Rose Ridge region. So good news there. Library service agreement was completed, so we'll get the signatures finalized, and then I'm going to do a reconciliation, clean that up, and we will get that sorted, and then that will be on its way. I do have a meeting scheduled with Rebecca as well to speak to her about the budgetary process and the requirements, so we'll try and get them in ahead of our budget deliberations to talk about their budget information and have them actually come meet with council about those things. So I look forward to that. That's the highlights of most of that. The loans to local authorities refinance, I have a 30-day waiting period, and then we'll get the documentation finalized there, and then we are working on the 2027 budget sheets now, so exciting for everyone, I guess you could say. Are there any questions in the financial documents that council has that they want me to either answer or come back with an answer if I don't have it with me?
Anyone have any questions? Council Morrison?
Just for clarity, the surplus that you're forecasting to end of year, actually, if my memory is okay, and these days it doesn't appear to be, but looks like the surplus has again increased month over month from last.
Correct. Our forecast shows it increasing based on some updates that we've done with some of the forecasting, as well as some of the internal changes we've been doing. So we're hoping to continue along that process and see where we can end up. But that's pretty much all. It has gone up versus what last year showed. Hopefully it'll stay that way for sure.
But even over last month?
Yeah, sorry, last month, yes. It's over what last month showed, yes.
Through, if I may, through you, Mr. Mayor, one of the things that's very important, and I think it's a very important message to the council, that we continue the extreme diligence that council asked us to put on basically spending for 2026. So we developed again a budget plan, and our plan is actually working, and as we anticipated, working to a positive situation because again, of extreme spending controls that we put in, there's not anything that goes basically through any employee's hands these days without basically our approval. But that said, there's also unforeseen things that occur during a year, both but positive and negative. And what we'll be doing is providing an update third quarter, very detailed update on basically where we stand. But we've actually had a couple of positive things happen, which was some very nice surprises in relationship to basically some refunds we received on capital. So that has increased the our forecast to year end somewhat substantially. And there's some other things, but again, there's also some unforeseen items that we'll be talking about over the coming month or so that are also going to cost us. So we are forecasting again to a surplus to year end. I think that's important for our public to be aware. And again, forecasting to put a significant amount of money in the bank by the end of the year as well.
So talking about those unforeseen items, we had the road, and I'm not going to remember the name of the road, and the repair on that was approximately $30,000 if my memory is okay. And also we've got the 2 potholes that you've got to do, and my technical is beyond non. Hot ash as opposed to cold ash as opposed to anyway. So, and I assume since that just happened, you don't actually have a quote on that yet. But where do we kind of, and Ryan, this is more specifically for you, where am I seeing like that $30,000 is a repair, it's not a capital item. So where am I kind of tracking when we see those unforeseen?
It would be baked into the repairs and maintenance totals. That's where we would code that into. The one thing with that one that just came up with the hot fix, we don't have that currently in there because we don't have the finalized values. But yeah, there will be, as Tim mentioned, a lot of Q3 review that we're going to be doing with some of the drastic changes that we're talking about. And there's going to be, I'm hoping we'll still be looking at a very nice surplus here because we've got, a lot of good news stories as well as bad, not bad news stories, but changes. And then, we're hoping we'll net off at that point too. So a lot of that forecasting that we plug into there will include those items. A lot of stuff that we've put on hold and as Tim mentioned, the parked items list, that's where we'll start addressing some of those as well.
If I may, through to Councillor Morrison, through you, Mr. Mayor, is one of the things that's important. And again, when I talk to council, I've always taught very early in my career when you're speaking to councillors, speaking to the public, we want to make sure one thing is very clear. Is in the case of, say, for example, a hot mix fix. We've had some comments. Well, the town staff should be aware or know how to do a hot mix fix. That might be the case, but if you see and never see somebody like basically fixing a road, and you see the big rolling machine with tar and the heat coming up and that kind of a thing, that's basically a hot mix fix, which requires cutting of concrete, basically some underground work and very expensive machinery that normally for municipalities this size, we do not basically procure that kind of equipment because a hot mix fix might happen once, twice, maybe every few years, to be quite frank. And so it's not financially feasible to purchase the type of equipment for hot mix fixes. So this is normal. That said, we're going to have an assessment of the road. We anticipate that at this time, because the size of the pothole is not necessarily growing significantly, though it seems pretty big, that we will not have a substantial, what we would call basically a potential failure of the road, which would be an incredibly expensive fix. We still think it'll come in economically reasonably, but we're getting quotes right now. We should know by midweek next week exactly what we're going to do, and we'll have a plan in place.
Councillor Brack?
Oops, sorry. Kind of off topic on the finance part, but sorry, in regards to the pothole, what's our time frame that we're looking at to get that fixed?
Through Mr. Mayor, basically we have 3 companies that we've contacted that are going to be providing us with quotes. I think we've had one come on site to take a look. We should be getting, we were supposed to get the quotes, I think, as early as today and possibly tomorrow. And then we've been told that they will fit us in as soon as possible because it's in a main throughway. So we're hoping that we might see some machinery out here by the end of the week or early next week. But again, all dependent on the contractors. But we feel we can get this thing going pretty quick.
Councillor St. Germain?
Sorry, you answered my question, but I just had a, it's sort of on topic. The witches hut at the park, have we checked in to see if it's covered under warranty, or what the fix is for that?
Through Mr. Mayor, basically as it stands today, I don't have that information, but we've made an inquiry, but I am confident because of that part of the infrastructure is within this year, I think, that it's been put up. I believe that part of the infrastructure is within warranty. As council is aware, we've had a couple of warranty issues with that park already, and we've had a couple of conversations with the vendors and look at repairs. But for the apparatus that is in question, we do believe it will fit under warranty and we'll be able to get it fixed at no cost.
Excellent, thanks. Any further questions on that? Can I get a motion on the corporate service and financial report, please? Council Morrison?
I move we accept the financial services, corporate and financial services report as information.
Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? So carried unanimous. 7.2, 2026 Audit Services RFP.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. We have spoken on this at length previously. Our last official administrator spoke to being severely against tendering an RFP for our financial audit services. Our new OA has since told us that she thinks it's in our best interest to do this RFP. So bringing forward an RFD to council to get direction on whether we want to do an RFP for audit services, as I probably need to get on that as of yesterday, if that's the route we want to go. So free to answer any questions, anything around the information, but looking for direction from council on whether to proceed with issuing an RFP.
Are we currently under contract right now?
In theory, yes. That being said, termination is allowable based on
That
the
was the
contract.
question.
Yeah.
Kind of paid into the question. Anybody, Councillor Brack?
I can only speak for myself, but I think I would feel comfortable with issuing an RFP. Personally, I'm not comfortable using Matrix any longer. I think people aren't comfortable with it either. You know, I realize that Ryan, you said there was a termination. We can terminate. I think in the best interest of the town, I think that would be better, and we'd be best suited to do an RFP.
Excellent. Then while you have your mic open, you want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to issue an RFP for audit services commencing for the 2026 fiscal period and for a period of 3 years for national agreement.
Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? So carried unanimous. Old business, 9.1. Council committee appointments. Looks like we have a wee bit of adjustment to do.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's just a simple, committees can be very busy for councils, and occasionally during the year, there's requests for changes due to scheduling conflicts or basically just time constraints. And Councillor Barak is asked to basically give up his chair on the library committee and have Councillor Morrison take his place. And so this would be basically a motion that would allow for that to happen and for a committee change to occur.
Okay, thanks. Any questions? Councillor St. Germain?
For my two boards, which are Homeland Housing and for Community Futures, Tawatna Region, there is no alternate. So that should be amended now, right? They're not allowed under the boards.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, under the boards they're not allowed. They are here, but under the boards they're not allowed to have an alternate on either.
Can I ask for clarification? Are you looking for us to amend our list of basically backups for the committees, Councillor Saint Germain?
Yes, so just for those two boards, that the alternate be removed because there is none. It's not
Oh,
accurate,
it's not, you mean it's not allowed?
not allowed
Not
to
allowed.
have an alternate on
Okay.
either one of those boards as per their bylaws.
Okay, okay, fair enough.
They don't
So,
permit it.
so council would have to make a motion to that effect, and then we would correct basically our committee documentation.
Thank
Oh.
you.
Okay, so what, let's take care of the two that we have, Counselor Saint Germain, and then you can add, make your motion. Okay. So it looks like we need two motions, can I get the first motion? Counselor Longstaff.
I move to rescind the appointment of Councillor Daryl Burek as the council representative to the Gibbons Municipal Library Board.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous. You wanna do the second one too?
I move that we appoint Councillor Ashley Morrison as the council representative to the Gibbons Municipal Library Board for the remainder of the current term, which expires at the 2026 organizational meeting of council.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous. Counselor Breck?
I just want to take some time to thank the library board. I learned actually quite a bit working with them, and I enjoyed helping them fundraise. But due to all the time constraints with my other boards, I felt that this one was one that I felt was in good hands with who's running it. So it is with regret that I am stepping away from it, but I know that Ashley will do a fantastic job helping them out. I just want to say thank you to them.
Okay, thanks. Counselor Saint Germain?
I just noticed that there is only one of my boards that has an alternate, so it's the Homeland Housing. I'm making a motion to amend the Homeland Housing Foundation Board to not have an alternate.
Any questions? Anybody got any questions for her? No? Seeing none, could I get them, all those in favor? So carried. Opposed? Did you? Jan? Oh, sorry, I missed it. Went up too fast. Unanimous.
You're up. The Community Services Advisory Board, I believe that's Counselor Longstaff in there. It's not filled in on this paper.
Oh, yeah.
So do we make a motion for that?
That's just a new one, yeah.
'Cause
At the same time, we never did pick an alternate just in case, so, I'd like to have one of the council as an alternate, just in case.
I'd like to be an alternate on that, please.
Okay, I move that, Councillor Saint Germain be the alternate for the Community Services Advisory Board.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous. Okay. 9.2, legislative compliance review.
Through Mr. Mayor, just for awareness, I had asked Chris Pino, our legislative services officer, to make this a standing item, basically for council meetings. And the reason why is because we feel compelled to, be answerable to our public in relationship to compliance and improvements that we are obligated to make. The compliance review, again, I wish Chris was here. She's ill today, by the way, and so I wish she was here to kind of speak to this because she's been achieving quite a bit. We're now at the point now where we have basically completed 22 of the 27 gaps for identifying the compliance review. So that's basically, 67% of the gaps have been completed. We've got 5 left over. We're working diligently to complete those. We're hoping to have them complete probably mid-year of next year. There's some that are fairly big that we want to look at. One being, again, a total revamp of our procedural bylaw. But again, I'm very, very happy to say, and again, I give a lot of credit to Chris and the entire Gibbons team for working on improvements to a lot of the things that were identified in the compliance review. And again, and as comes back and as a standing agenda item, I'm going to ask her to probably give a bit of a report on the things that she has completed and improved for the compliance review. And so again, I think it's just important for the public to be aware that we are very much moving towards becoming compliant with the mandates of the province.
Excellent, thank you. Anybody got any questions? Council Morrison?
Sorry, Tim, not to put you on the spot at all, but I'm going to. No. Other than the procedural bylaw, can you give just an indication or an idea of what those remaining? I understand they're a bit hefty, so if it just sort of a grosso modo.
Things like 3-year operating plans and 5-year capital plans, things that we're working on. Still not quite compliant on the capital side, which we have a lot of expertise in, so we're working on that now. So that's one of the things, just looking through. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, for the 3-year operating plan, we have actually passed that one. It's the 5-year capital plan that we are actually in the works of reviewing and hoping to bring it to the next council meeting here. The next two are mine as well. Sorry, not while the local improvement tax is ongoing, but the tax arrears list and the DMF tax recovery as well is an ongoing project right now as well with the tax agreement. So I am working on those as alongside the tax agreement work as well too.
No problem.
Any further questions? So basically the list that you guys provided are the 5 that are left open working on that, correct? Yeah, okay. Perfect. Can I get a motion, please? If there's no further questions. Councilor Curry?
I move that council receive this report as information and that administration continue its work to achieve full legislative compliance with a further status update to be provided upon completion of all remaining remediation actions.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous. 9.3, hometown weekend proposal and budget approval.
My apologies, Ryan was distracting me on purpose to make me look bad. All kidding aside, one of the things council brought up a few council meetings ago was the concern of, again, community pride and, the importance of events. And so we were asked to provide a list, and there was a few events that you said that if we were looking better from a financial perspective, they would like maybe some consideration about bringing back on. And we are running, again, a strong surplus, and again, looking at a very healthy situation from a financial perspective. And so one of the ones that was asked to be brought back by council was the consideration of a hometown weekend proposal and budget approval. And so this report basically is bringing forward the notion of council approving us to move forward with the planning for hometown weekend proposal or basically an event. This would include a number of things, like the proposed weekend includes the 35th annual seniors almost Christmas dinner, family friendly holiday activities, recreation programming, and a Christmas craft and farmers market. Basically, the contribution that we would be making would be help basically support this event. Estimated revenue is about $7,000. Again, my understanding is this is a very well attended event, and the estimated expenses is about $13,380. So from a municipal contribution perspective, we'd be looking at approximately $6,400 that could be paid for from year-end surplus. Though it says in the report, this is recommending an operating budget amendment. We do not have to amend the budget. Basically, we don't have to increase the budget and look for additional revenues. We do have surplus. So our recommendation would be to council, and then looking for approval from the OA, is that we can fund this event from basically surplus funds that we have saved throughout the year and without any kind of hardship on the municipality at all. So we're looking for council's thoughts in relationship to us moving forward with our proposal and approving the amendments or not approving the proposal. And so with that, I'd be open to any questions that you may have.
We'll start at Counselor Saint Germain.
I'm not from here, by the way, so I don't know a lot about this event, so.
Um, so it's more of a comment. Our citizens, as well as us as council members, have kind of been through the wars. We're still not through with the data center and everything else that's going on. And while I get it's an expenditure, I think we do need to have an event where it shows our community pride and we get back together as a community, considering the divisions that were brought forth with the viability review. I think this is really important to our community, and we've tightened our belts quite a bit, not only our citizens, but us as council, our staff. And I just think it's very important that we have this event to bring our community back together and have a little bit of fun.
Counselor Longstaff?
Yeah, I was just going through the schedule here for the Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday, and I didn't see the parade on there. Are we still having the parade, or did I miss it?
I believe you're referring to the Parade of Lights. So again, it was handled by Community Services, so I don't know what all entailed to have that parade. I don't think it was much of a cost to the town. It was just they had to register, and then staffing, I think, would be the main cost of to have the Parade of Lights. I don't know how well it was attended the last little bit. I know one year it wasn't because it was super cold, but then last year it was quite warm, so I think it was well attended. So that would be the only thing that I could see.
Okay, thanks. I guess maybe that's one of the things that the new Community Services Advisory Board could put on their first meeting.
If I may, just to make sure that we have clarity around the event, if this goes forward and you approve us moving forward with the planning of this event, are you saying, Councillor Longstaff, that you'd like to see the parade involved in this? Because if so, then that gives us a bit of direction.
Very much so.
Okay, just don't throw the candies in front of the cars like some parades do, right? So, not allowed to do that anymore. Okay, fair.
Counselor Morrison?
I might be wrong, but last year when we were looking at different expenditures, and Tara, you might be able to shed a little bit more light for me. When we were looking at expenditures for the seniors Christmas dinner, I can't remember the name of it. I apologize. Almost Seniors. Thank you. Great event, by the way. Couple of comments with regard to it is an awful lot of the people that attend that event or that I saw actually don't live in Gibbons. They were outside of the community, and some of the bills that I was seeing coming in against what I saw for revenue looked like the bill on that dinner alone was about 30 grand. So I'm really questioning the dollar amount that there just kept seeming to be a lot of expenditures that I was seeing going through that were identified as the dinner. And when I did my simple Cape Breton math, I was at about 30K for that event. So I'm wondering the numbers that are coming in for this one. So I'm a little bit concerned there. Also, you know, some of the feedback within the community was Gibbons residents not able to get tickets to said event, but you know, it's a great event. It was a lot of fun. We as council had the opportunity to attend, but I would really like to make sure that we keep it tight going forward, that we keep it for our community, and I'm really curious on the dollar amount.
I will say last year they did change on how tickets were sold. So I don't know how long, but we did say town residents had first come, first serve. Now I forget if that was for the first 3 days, 5 days, I'm not sure. Then it got opened up, and then it got opened up online again from there. So I know they did changes that way. Residents, the town of Gibbons residents did have a first come, first serve kind of thing, and then it went public after that. Again, for the catering here, it's listed as $6,500. I don't remember seeing a bill come in though last year for $30,000 for catering.
It wasn't one bill, it was three. That's why it was 3 separate bills, but every time it was identified as that particular event. So,
Okay.
like I said, doing mental math, I just kind of kept going, wow, expensive event. And please don't get me wrong, I'd love to see this. I'd like to see that whole weekend happen for us. I really, really would. I'm right along with Councillor St. Germain. We need a win right now. And, you know, the parade needs to be done better. And I'm sure that there's some willing and able bodies along this table that will be happy to help out with that. You know, but I just want, I want to make sure it goes through, but I just want to make sure that our costing is realistic. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Brack?
A few comments. One is if we can, with these costs, do we know what the total cost of last year was? And then let's say then the year prior or previous to that, sorry.
We don't have the information handy today, but we can provide it for sure.
Second, I'm all for it. As you guys all know, I think it's beyond important to the community and to the members. As Councillor St. Germain said, we've been through the ringer and back, and I think that our community, from every age, wants to see this happen. I know last year when we did the wrapping of the Christmas presents, that was an absolutely fantastic turnout, and we all had a good time. I'd love to see stuff like that. As Councillor Longstaff said, with the parade of lights, you know, it was a good turnout last year. The weather was definitely in favor. I think we could definitely get some corporations that would be more than willing to get involved with it as well, to have a little bit more fun for the kids. Myself, I'm sure I can speak for Councillor Curry on this one. Even last year, we just went out onto Main Street and tried to get into the festive mood. And it was so nice to see the community rally around that kind of stuff. So I think for the small amount, and I'm going to use, I'll say kind of a small amount on this, I think this is would be a huge win for the residents, and I think everyone would be behind it for the majority.
Councillor Curry?
Yeah, I just want to echo the sentiments of everyone here. I think this is an important event for everyone, for families, for kids especially. So I'm 100% in favor of this, and I think we have some time here. We could maybe find some sponsors and things like that to help with costs. And as far as the Almost Seniors dinner goes, I just want to point out I'm the only one here not old enough to attend that. So
Don't be winking. Don't be winking.
Councillor St. Germain?
Sorry, I just have one final comment. We had promised a young resident last year that we would be doing an old-fashioned light-up Christmas event. Can we tie this into this hometown weekend? Yeah, like if council covers the cost, so it was no additional cost, I'd be willing to cover the cost of it. And then we can just work it out so that we can do as we promised. We said we wouldn't do it this year, but I think we should follow through on that.
Okay. Yeah. Can I get a motion then, please? Councillor St. Germain?
Which motion are we going with? I recommend, make a motion that council approves hometown weekend proposal, including a maximum budget of $6,400 with funding to require a budget amendment.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous. All right, 9.4, Urban Hen Program. Councillor Longstaff, I believe. Oh, Tim.
Excuse
Mr.
me.
Yamo. Sorry.
Excuse me, Mayor Henderson.
Yep.
I'm just having a bit of technical difficulty with the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
If I could just have a moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll just take me a moment. So I've got window capture. It's looking like I can only have that little
window up?
little window.
Okay.
No.
We're just having a little technical difficulty with the PowerPoint presentation for the Urban Hen program.
Councillor Longstaff could cluck and entertain us while we're waiting.
Just hold up the presentation and they can zoom in. Okay, looks like we have the presentation up. Mr. Duhamel, I believe this is yours.
Through Mr. Mayor, I'm introducing this one. This was an initiative brought forward by Councillor Longstaff in relationship to an urban hens program. So this would include the possibility of allowing and writing a bylaw that would allow for hens to be basically housed within basically the urban center of Gibbons. These programs do occur in urbans across Canada, but again, it's ultimately up to council, and so I think Councillor Longstaff has a presentation to make, and then council has a decision to make. Go ahead.
Councillor Longstaff.
Thank you. So I did looking up a few other areas. First one I looked at was Lamont because that was the first one that appeared in the Urban Hen program searches that I did, and did some other looking into, and I looked at the one in Bonaccord because it's the closest one to us. So slide, please. I don't have a. So in Alberta, the hen program has two different categories. There's a municipal backyard hen program, which is like an urban pet ownership. And then there's the academic commercial poultry initiatives, which we probably not have here. The backyard projects to legalize keeping hens as pets was pioneered by municipalities such as Edmonton from 2014 and 17 and Calgary from 2022 to 23. Several smaller municipalities across the province have continued to adopt similar pilot programs or bylaws. These programs do mandate rigorous training, strict coop and husbandry rules, and the prohibition of roosters. So it's not just, yeah, you're gonna have chickens and we're gonna have our own eggs. There's an actual quite a bit to this. Next slide. Oh, you're never mind, you got it. I'm slow.
She's on it.
Yeah. So key requirements to keep urban hens in Alberta. The first thing is you have to have a premises identification number, and that's under the Provincial Animal Health Act. You have to register your property for a free number from the province, and this helps trace diseases and is also required for local licensing, which you would get from the municipality. Again, you apply for the license within Gibbons if we were to do this, and you pay the required fee before you are actually able to acquire any chickens. There is training that has to be done. A lot of municipalities require you to complete a certified hen keeping or a chicken tender course, not the food, before they issue a license. Yes, there is an actual program. It's called Chickens 101. That one I think is the mandatory, and there's a Chickens 102, which is not mandatory. Chicken coops. The coops in the enclosed runs have to meet specific setback distances from property lines. They have to be predator proof, and we do have a lot of coyotes and other predators in town. They have to remain in the rear yard, which also has to be fenced, and roosters are strictly prohibited in all urban programs. And as far as the eggs, whatever eggs they lay, you have to consume. You cannot sell them because they're not inspected by Alberta Health. So you cannot sell them to the public or to restaurants. Some urban towns have a limit of 5 to 6 residents maximum, depending on the size of the town. And a maximum of anywhere from 2 to 4 laying hens per resident property. Both the municipalities that are closest to us, being Bon Accord and Redwater, they both have an urban hen program. Should an urban hen pilot project for Gibbons be passed by resolution made by council, the town would most likely adopt the program, which is very similar to Bon Accord. And you can go online to the Bon Accord one and it shows you all the forms, all the requirements and everything else there. And it would be a very simple matter to talk to Bon Accord and be able to use something very similar. Excuse me. A lot of people ask, well, why would we raise chickens? And this is actually something I didn't know until I did all this. A backyard chicken provides fresh, nutritious eggs, natural pest control, and entertainment with their unique personalities. And yes, chickens actually do have really weird personalities, similar to squirrels and other interesting critters. They do reduce garden pests by eating insects and contribute to compost with their droppings and eggshells. The thing I didn't know is eggs from backyard hens are often richer in flavor and nutrients compared to store-bought eggs, and you can control their diet for optimal quality. A proper chicken coop will need adequate space, nest boxes, which is usually 1 for every 3 hens, roosting areas, which is an elevated perch for sleeping, predator protection, and accessibility. These guidelines will be part of a bylaw and included with the laying hens permit application package. Feed and water, egg collection and care, and health and maintenance are all important parts of raising laying hens. It's just not, here's a chicken, lay an egg, and be done with it, right? Starting a backyard flock involves planning, proper housing, breed selection, daily care, predator protection, as well as training and licensing. With attention to these basics, backyard hens can provide fresh eggs, natural pest control, and enjoyable companionship for years to come. Some of the guidelines to keep in mind when considering to apply for this type of program should we have it. The site requirements for the hen coop and run, the number of hens allowed and the enclosure size, nuisance conditions, standard of care, waste and disposal, training, again like the Chicken 101 course, inspections, registration, and enforcement. All this information will become readily available within the application package. If an urban hen program bylaw is passed by council, there will be mandatory requirements that need to be done when applying. Permit fees, the new application and annual renewal fees, which would be to be determined. Neighbor notification. Any applicant will be required to notify their neighbors with adjacent backyards of their intent to participate in the program. Confirmation that the neighbor notification and a signed consent form from the neighbor must be submitted with the application. Again, the training, there is an accredited urban hen keeping course, and of course, you need to find a veterinarian that is familiar with treating hens. Your premises identification number has to be obtained, and again, that's a free registration through the Government of Alberta. Bless you. A site sketch would also need to accompany the application, and the application package would have a sample sketch and a site inspection included as well. So as you can see, it's not just a matter of, yeah, I want to have chickens, let's have it done. There's a lot involved with it. And I know there have been a number of people that have inquired and have talked about having chickens over the last few years. So here's the research and, well, questions? Councillor St. Germain.
Councillor St. Germain?
I just have a question. So if we go through this and then there's, we agree to have this, would there be a change in our bylaw? Like, would we have to do a change or amendment to our bylaw to include the fees if the rules aren't followed for urban? Sorry, I guess what I was asking was the actual, like, when you look, we'd pass the bylaw, but then would we update also the other bylaw that shows the fees? The fees and schedule would have to be updated as well. Okay, perfect, thank you.
Counselor Brack, did, yeah, you have a question?
So if we have a resolution to council to bring this forward, what is the time frame that we would be looking at from, let's say if today we vote yes, what is the time frame for someone to have hens in their backyard?
What you would do is pass a resolution asking administration to draft a urban hen bylaw. It would be presented to council with the background information. I may be able to do it by the 8th of September, if not the second meeting in September. And
Yeah, I
because it's not a land use bylaw, you could do all 3 readings in one meeting.
Yeah, on in the agenda package here, I think public engagement is what's needed first, right?
Through Mr. Mayor, what's being recommended tonight is not the actual Urban Hens program, the bylaw. It's actually to look at doing a public engagement program to ensure that the public are in favor of this at this time. And so what we're looking for is a resolution to do the work basically that would basically speak to whether this is something the public would be positive for or not.
I know it didn't answer your question how soon somebody could have one in their backyard, but there's one step more that we need to go through before we get to that process. Yeah. Okay.
I just wanted to kind of know what once all of that homework is done.
Yeah, perhaps next summer, I would say in the spring.
If I may, basically, I would believe that a public engagement process would take us no less than probably at least 5-6 weeks, and then we're into the fall season. I would anticipate by the time that's done, we bring the information back to council, and then decisions are made, and then the bylaws are drafted. We'd be looking at probably spring or summer of next year.
Councilor Curry.
I kind of just want to say good work, Councilor Longstaff. This was informative, and I have to say it kind of changed my view on it a little bit. And then being that if people aren't allowed to sell eggs, I mean, are you allowed to give, to your neighbors and whatnot, things like that, right? Right? Oh yeah, I don't know.
Thank you.
Already, any further questions or comments? Seeing none, could I get a motion, please? Councilor Brack.
I make a motion that council directs administration to proceed with public engagement regarding a potential urban hen program, including a resident survey, written public feedback, and an open house event.
All those in favor? Opposed?
Not opposed, sorry.
I'm opposed. One opposed. So carried. Yeah. 10.1 Community Services Advisory Board appointment.
Through Mr. Mayor, as I was told by Brandon, we may have jumped the gun a little bit on the Community Services Board Advisory Board because we have the report here stating that basically the advisory board is established under a bylaw. We have received 5 applications from residents interested in serving on the Community Services Advisory Board. We need at least, again, a minimum of 5 voting members, again, to establish the board. And again, if council appoints these members, again, we will have met the standards required basically under the bylaw to basically have an advisory board that is functional. So again, the background, we have to have 1 member of the Town of Gibbons Council, who's a non-voting member of the board, 1 member of the Community Services who will be a non-voting member of the board, 1 member who shall be between the ages of 14 and 18 at the time of the appointment, and 1 member who's considered a senior in accordance with the legislation set out by the province of Alberta. We also have to have up to 7 members who are residents of the Town of Gibbons, representing the residents of the municipality who shall not be chosen to represent any one organization, group, or body, but shall be chosen because of their interest and knowledge in the area of parks, recreation, culture, and or family community services. The term of the office is established under section 4.1 below, which shall be 2 years from the date of appointment of council or from the date of the first meeting attended. And so again, administration has reviewed the applications and found them to be in compliance with the bylaw. And this is Chris, so I'm just reading basically her work right now. And again, the proposed appointees corresponding appointments are shown below. And so we need your approval to basically approve the proposed appointments as presented and then possibly amend if you require.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Counselor Longstaff?
So I see the names here for people that applied for the position. I'm just wondering about the community services staff, if there's actually one that is thought of being appointed or if that hasn't been looked at yet, the non-voting member.
Yeah, sorry, through to Council Longstaff, we haven't established anything on the administrative side of things. We definitely would have to go that route once we get our org review and everything completed from there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further questions? Excuse me. Seeing none, we have a total of 5 motions to go through. For myself, I'll be abstaining from motion number 4. Councillor Saint Germain.
Should I just do all 5? Okay. I motion that council appoint Terry Saunders to the Community Services Advisory Board as a member at large effective August 25th, 2026 for a 2-year term ending August 24th, 2028.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous.
I make the motion that council appoint John Saunders to the Community Services Advisory Board as a member at large effective August 25th, 2026 for a 2-year term ending August 24th, 2028.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous.
I make the motion that council appoint Don Jones to the Community Services Advisory Board as a member at large effective August 25th, 2026 for a 2-year term ending August 24th, 2028.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous. Koenig, just like it sounds.
I make the motion that council appoint Sherry Koenig to the Community Services Advisory Board as a member at large effective September 1st, 2026 for a 2-year term ending August 31st, 2028.
All those in favor?
So carried, 1 abstained.
I make the motion that council appoint Riley Fisher to the Community Services Advisory Board as a youth member effective August 25th, 2026 for a 2-year term ending August 24th. Wait, why is that different?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same question.
Some of them are different.
Just 1 is different.
No, 2. Oh, just one's different.
Yep.
Okay. Do we amend that then?
Let's finish 5. You're happy?
Okay, I'll finish 5.
Yep.
Term ending August 24th, 2028.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous.
Like to make a friendly amendment to my motion.
Yeah, to number 4.
Number,
Sorry, before we make that motion, there might be a reason why this is in there. We don't have Chris to speak to it, so we can always amend it after and change the term and do that from there. But I'd say maybe let's just understand why first, and then we can
okay,
come back to it.
thank you. Good call.
Okay. Now the favorite topic. 10.2 Metadata Center.
Through Mr. Mayor and Council, excuse me, I've got a little bit of popcorn going on here. One of the things that's become very prevalent is challenges in relationship to public engagement and essentially the town position in relationship to the AI data center. I think it'd be very fair to say that this council and this administration were very busy with something else called a viability review that was somewhat distracting, and it's become somewhat evident from the public perception perspective, at least anyways, that there may be considered a lack of opportunity to provide public engagement. Council a couple of meetings ago asked us to look into opportunity to basically engage our citizens in a couple of ways to basically get our opinions, meaning the town residents' opinions, that can help basically enable council to understand what position they want to make in relationship to the data center going forward. And so we have done a little bit of homework on two opportunities. One is the delivery of an open house, which would be considered a Gibbons only type of open house, where it's basically intended for our residents. Looking at getting some basically what we'd call nonpartisan experts, people that can give us kind of the real goods on what a data center means, and then listening that night, basically having an opportunity for council to listen to the residents and hear the opinions of your public, so that can help support your ability to start developing your positions and us to start advocating for basically the value for the town of Gibbons, and or basically voicing our concerns. So what we've done is we put together basically an open house report that would basically be kind of the plan for an open house. Now, again, because of the viability review, we've got some experience in doing these now, and we've done them very successfully. So we'd be looking at something similar in relationship to the format, but one of the key things that we'd be looking for is basically really providing an opportunity for the residents to give you their take on what they feel about this data center. And so that you're basically supported with knowledge and an understanding of what the town of Gibbons residents really feel about the data center. Because right now we're all kind of taken back a little bit about the speed at which this project's moving in, and maybe the lack of information that was shared through the public engagement process, for heavy industry that's adjacent to us. So that said, there's one part of the plan that we're putting together, which is the possibility of developing an open house. The second part that I think is equally important and would feed into the open house is the delivery of a questionnaire. That we could provide to our public through basically avenues, either Google Forms or through SurveyMonkey, that we could put out right away, that would basically start gauging the town residents feel about the data center, and then that would feed into the open house evening, so that we could analyze basically the town's considerations from a survey perspective on the data center. So again, to give council some ideas about what kind of questions they can expect that evening, and maybe some of the information they would like your administration to pursue in terms of knowledge that we want to share that evening. And so what we have before you today is basically two plans. One is an open house plan, and the second is a survey plan that would allow us to start formulating basically our position. And again, there's a lot of things in these reports, but I think the key considerations are health considerations, transportation considerations, economic considerations, basically infrastructure challenges. Basically, my understanding is there's plans for infrastructure investment within the town of Gibbons, and seeing whether this is a valuable project for the town of Gibbons, or this is something that the town council would like to advocate strongly against. And so that's what we're looking for. So with that, I'd like to, again, there's two very lengthy reports that I wrote that are in here, but I'd like to get council's thoughts on these and get direction as to whether you'd like us to pursue and start scheduling these open houses and putting the survey out into the public.
Councillor St. Germain.
I just have a question. Here it just says the Meta AI data center, but my understanding is there's also a second one called Beacon something, as well as a power source. That is all in the same. So I think it would be relevant to have all three, not just the one. They're separate.
Through Mr. Mayor, through St. Germain, actually, I think that's a very, very wise thought. What we probably need to understand is basically not just around data centers, but basically about the industry development that's adjacent to us, period. And what does this mean for the town of Gibbons from both the heavy oil industry, data center industry, power generation, whatever it might be? I think that might be a very welcome addition to basically the open house and the report, just understanding how does the public of Gibbons consider industry beside us as a value add or a negative situation.
I'd just like to add to the report that you're creating, is it possible to add something that is like loss of enjoyment, like noise pollution, light pollution, would that be like added somewhere into that report?
Through Mr. Mayor again, in some of the study that we put together in developing the questionnaire, I think some of the questions in the questionnaire that we put together consider things like noise, light, health. These are things common to data centers. And obviously, data centers aren't a new thing. So there's a lot of communities across North America that have faced the very challenges that we're about to face. And again, a lot of the information that we put into these reports were basically stemmed from knowledge and research that we did about data centers that have currently been built. So certainly we can put all of those things in the questionnaire.
So I just have one further follow-up. They've stated that there's ample room on our grid at the presentations I've been to, the 2 presentations. But last winter we had rolling brownouts where we were asked not to use certain appliances during certain times. Is there somewhere that we can include a professional that will say, give us specifics on that so that if this does go ahead, our residents aren't paying the price for it and we can't use our heat in the dead of winter because we've got an AI data center right next to us?
Through Mr. Mayor, again, council can ask those questions. We can try to find what we would call, again, unbiased experts. Again, it's a great question because I'd heard about the brownouts as well, so we can follow up on that. The key thing, and again, I would like to hear council's thoughts on this, but the goal we would have is, unlike some of the open houses that have been held thus far, is to have basically experts that are there with no opinion necessarily as to whether we want this or not, but just to provide us with facts. And so that's been hard to find thus far from the open houses and the data that I've seen online from a public engagement perspective. So we can certainly get that data, but I would ask the council, cater to what we think is important from an administrative recommendation perspective, is to have a very non-biased presentation in that meeting that evening.
Councillor Breck?
I'm very much in support of number one, doing the surveys. There does seem to be a high number of residents that I've spoken to anyways that are against the data center for reasons of that just being we don't know. And it's a huge, these are huge commitments, number one by the province, 2 by the county. There seem to be, I guess for lack of better terms, a little bit of secrecy going on behind the scenes, that the information wasn't given out in a timely fashion or in any fashion at all. And I think that we as citizens, whether we're on council or not, we all have questions and concerns as well. So I think it is important that we do have some people come and speak to us that are non-biased and that can answer the questions, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the, some of the fallacies or whatnot that's out there right now. I think that we owe it to our residents to find out as much information as humanly possible, to see what the next steps are and what we can do as a community to either make noise or not. At the end of the day, this is our home as well as that there, what are the health risks? You read a bunch of things, but we need to know with some certainty of what's going on with these types of facilities.
Thanks. Councillor Curry?
I agree with Councillor Burak. I think, the fact that we're this far down the road and we're trying to find facts, information to present to people. I'm no expert, but I feel like this kind of stuff needs to be done, at the beginning, and then decisions are made to go ahead with projects like this. So it's kind of disappointing that we are where we are, and people are asking for, they want answers, and it seems impossible to get answers and to get information at this point. So I think it's important that we try to do that, provide people with facts, not opinionated facts, but facts. And as far as like the data center goes, I mean, I know I'm not saying I'm 100% against it, but I'm against pushing stuff like this forward without bringing these facts and letting people know what's going on, and yeah, answering all the questions that people have about health and about their environment and things like that. I know there's a lot of money involved, but to me, that kind of stuff's not for sale. That there's you can't put a price tag on stuff like that. So yeah, I'm wanting facts as well and information, just like everybody else. So I think this is a really good thing to do.
Okay, thank you. Counselor St. Germain?
I just have one additional comment to mirror what Councillor Curie was saying. I am deeply disappointed with the lack of engagement. Found out basically through social media that there was 2 plus the power plant, and it feels like the 2 names are being used interchangeably, Meta and Beacon, and the sources being used are vastly different. So I agree with us having a public engagement because I feel that piece was lacking previously, and it's needed.
Okay, thank you. And just for clarification, the green light power plant is for Meta. Beacon has their own power plant, so there'll be 2 power plants out there. Yeah, and that's why Beacon is so far behind, because they're waiting for regulatory approval. That's the last I read on that comment anyways. Councillor Breck?
One of the questions I guess that I've been asked and I don't have answers to, and I don't know if anyone here does, but is with the with Meta saying that they're going to be supplying their own power, and the government has said that they're coming power ready, but for the first 2 years they will be there is ample space on the grid for them to use. My question is my understanding is that there's between a 4 to a 6 year backlog for turbines for the power plants. So have those turbines been ordered? Has there been, to my knowledge, and from a little bit of looking into, my understanding there hasn't been. So does that possibly put a more strain or pressure on our grid for longer than a 2 year term of what the government's saying? And that's, that could create some problems, if particularly if we get into these, these rolling brownouts like we had last year. Even though that, we've been told that the citizens will come first. At the end of the day, it's also being run like a business. So those who pay seem to kind of get what they want. So that's been a huge concern that I personally have, is just to ensure that portion of the or that piece of the puzzle is put in place well before we start putting pressure on our grid.
Excellent, thank you. One more?
Last one.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, I don't know if I can put it in here, but if we can possibly meet with the tech minister and any of the ministers that are involved with this. I have a lot of questions regarding the concierge service that I believe the citizens of Alberta paid for to push these projects through and to help them get through the red tape. And I have some questions in regards to the regulatory process that this happened. So if I think many of us will be at the Munis to see if we can meet with some of the officials. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just to answer Councillor St. Germain's question, we received that query earlier this week and have asked, Chris Pinnell was working on trying to set up some meetings with the ministers at Alberta municipalities. Again, we're a little bit late, but if that doesn't work out, we will ask for specific meetings with the minister as well. We are, I think, a very, very important stakeholder because we are the closest dense urban adjacent to the AI data center, and so I do think we would be pretty high on the priority list in relationship to some engagement with the minister.
Would that include the transportation ministers as well?
Anticipating basically again the proactiveness of this council, we've asked to meet with every minister, so we'll see how that all works out. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Can I get a motion, please? Looks like we're a recommendation for action. We have 3 motions to go through. So can I get the first motion? Councillor Simonowitz.
I move that council receive the Meta AI Data Center Residents Only Community Open House Report and the metadata Meta IA Data Center Public Engagement Questionnaire for information.
All those in favor? Carried. Sorry. Motion number 2, approve community engagement. Counselor Saint Germain,
I make the motion that council approve administration proceeding with the Town of Gibbons community engagement process substantially in accordance with the residents only community open house report and public engagement questionnaire presented.
all those in favor? So carried unanimous. And motion number 3. Counselor Simonowitz,
That council direct administration to return the results of the open house and public questionnaire in a what we heard report identifying the principal resident concerns, opportunities, information gaps, and potential advocacy priorities for council consideration.
all those in favor? So carried unanimous. All right. 10.3, direct control district development permit.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. A development permit application was received for the construction of a 9 by 16 foot deck, 27 inches high, in a direct control district. As such, it has come to council for the decision. The 27 inches high is the reason it's coming for a permit application. 24 inches, it wouldn't require a permit. Those 3 inches, it comes to council because of the direct control. It's at their front door. It does meet all setback requirements. We do recommend approval.
Counselor Morrison.
Just for my clarity, the reason it's coming to council and not municipal planning is because it's in a direct control area, as a direct control zoned area, as opposed to.
Council is the development authority for all direct control districts as per the MGA.
Excellent, thanks for that clarification. Any further questions? Someone want to give us a motion on that then, please? Counselor Longstaff?
That's a lot of reading. I make the motion that council approves the development permit application 26-D0023 with the following conditions. All development must be in accordance with the approved site plan. The exterior finish on all accessory buildings shall be of permanent material and shall either be the same as the exterior finish on the principal building on the site in terms of material, texture, and colors, or otherwise be to the satisfaction of the development authority. Number 3, all development must comply with all regulations and requirements of the Town of Gibbons Land Use Bylaw, the Alberta Safety Codes Act, and all other relevant legislation. And last, any person applying for and possession of a valid development permit is not relieved from full responsibility for ascertaining and complying with or carrying out development in accordance with the conditions of any covenant, caveat, easement, or other instrument affecting the building or land.
Excellent, thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? So carried unanimous. All right, 10.4. Residential growth market confidence strategy.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to council, one of the things that we have to recognize is that we now are in a phase of rebuilding Gibbons. Rebuilding from a governance perspective, from a public engagement perspective, and certainly from a financial perspective. And in municipalities, for long-term financial sustainability, one of the keys to that is either healthy and reasonable tax increases and or growth. There's not many other avenues to generate revenue as a municipality. So healthy municipalities typically have a healthy growing assessment base. That's either through residential and or commercial growth. We do have, again, a very what I would call enviable position for a small town, which means that we do have houses being built in the town of Gibbons, which is the envy of many municipalities of our size across the region. However, the building community has approached us recently and noted that they have concerns in relationship to the houses not selling. And one of the key things that we've looked at from a marketability perspective is that we do have a bit of work to do to rebuild basically Gibbons' reputation. There's been a lot of information out in the news, a lot of information out basically out in the public, Facebook, those types of things. Much of it misinformation. I mean, flawed analysis and flawed reports and whatnot have plagued us a bit. But as we're starting to emerge financially, we also have to consider basically the reputation of Gibbons as a great place to live. And we've recognized that this is a great place to live, and we think going to be a great place to basically have a home from a financial perspective. One of the things on that where there's a bit of a fallacy is we've been told that potential buyers, and realtors have told us this, and builders have said that many of the people that are potential buyers of homes in Gibbons are concerned about significant tax increases because of the things that they saw in the news. As you're aware, we've developed a financial plan. Our financial plan is working. And so there's two things that we're looking at possibly doing to help basically our building community. One is first a public engagement action where we will start basically developing public engagement information that basically kind of highlights more the reality of our situation, the truth of the situation, and kind of highlight a lot of the good work that's been done by you as council and the public in relationship to getting the town back on track. The second thing that is sometimes utilized to kickstart basically houses being bought in a municipality is a tax incentive program. This program or programs like this have been utilized often across Alberta to help support municipalities in helping builders sell their homes. And what we'd be looking at is the possibility of a pilot program that would include basically a tax relief program for the first year of a person who buys a new home. And so that would allow for basically somebody that buys a new home in Gibbons, a brand new home, basically a 1-year tax abatement program where they would not have to pay property taxes in the first year. The reason why municipalities enter into these programs is, again, municipal success is really focused on the long-term basically tax base that we're trying to generate. And so by entering into these types of programs, you usually can attract builders and you can attract residents. It is not in our best interest to have homes unpurchased within the town of Gibbons, because again, that means that we don't have ongoing taxpayers within the town of Gibbons. And so what we wanted to provide council just for thought and debate and discussion is the opportunity for the possibility of a pilot program for a 1-year tax basically abatement program, which would allow our builder community and the homes that have been built that are new in Gibbons to have an incentive program to attract new buyers to the town of Gibbons. Ryan, you've experienced these programs before. Do you have any comments?
Yeah, one good example for this is actually in Redwater. We do this. We have a 1-year new construction tax incentive program. It does help with driving new construction, and again, it's not a resident selling their home and someone coming in. It's eligible new construction. So we would have a bylaw that suits. It would allow us to facilitate growth and continue to focus on the development. One thing I will say is, as Tim mentioned, the opportunities for growth here are significant, and the challenge we face right now is building the confidence, which is where we need to communicate, and also stimulating the growth in a way that allows us to do that. What this would do is it's not, I don't want to say it's not a loss of taxation, because it is a loss of taxation, but it's a deferral of when the property taxation truly kicks in, because new construction, we wouldn't have assessment and taxation on those properties as of yet. So it would be basically a delay of 1 year before those would then actually, we'd start to see taxation revenue come in.
if I, just one last point, if I may, I think, I don't want to say it's a policy, but one of the misconceptions of these programs is that current residents are maybe going to be upset because they see new residents getting a break that they don't get. The reality is those new residents help subsidize basically our tax increases year after year once the second year kicks in. And so when we look at incentives like this, because we have houses that aren't selling, and we do have new homeowners come in, basically they become basically permanent taxpayers within the town of Gibbons that help support basically our tax base on a go forward basis. And so municipalities like Brooks, Medicine Hat, Kelowna have all been employing these programs for many years and have seen substantial growth in their assessment base, in part due because of these incentive programs.
Councillor Saint Germain.
I'm not for this at all. I like the AI data center. Will that not affect either increase or decrease the saleability of houses? My belief is that if the builder had built houses that were actually matched to the economic area, they would sell. And you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still our residents. They took a big increase in staying with us and fighting for our town. That to me is a smack in the face. I have said repeatedly, developers will pay for development and not our citizens, and I stand by it. Thank you.
Councillor Curry.
You stole my comment, Charla. No, I was gonna say my opinion as a professional, lifelong Gibbonite. So the homes that we're talking about, those were initially advertised starting at, I think it was $379 or something. Suddenly the sign is down and those houses were, 5, 6 plus. And that was going to be my comment, that I don't care what developers say and realtors and whatever. I know this town. I fully believe that if the houses were built, to a proper price point, they would all be sold by now. Families would be in those homes. My parents moved here 50 years ago to start a family, and they came here for affordability. And I don't think it's any different today. And I think that was a major screw up.
Councillor Brack.
Kind of as Councillor Saint Germain and Councillor Curry had said, my personal belief is that the individual builder overbuilt for the neighborhood, and he overbuilt for the town. Now asking for assistance from the town, however you want to slice it, number one, isn't right. I couldn't imagine another business in town saying, hey, you know what, we mismanaged the business, or we brought in the wrong items and now we're having a hard time selling it. Do you think we can get a deal? That's not how it's done. Businesses have their due diligence to ensure that what they're building or what they're selling or whatever the situation may be, they have to do their own homework. It's not build it and they will come, as it's clearly been shown. People in Gibbons want affordable housing. These large houses they're building, if they're not selling, my belief is these builders why don't they make themselves look good and say, hey guys, build this house. We're gonna look like the heroes, and we'll pay your taxes for a year. It shouldn't be on the backs of the citizens or this town to pay for a builder's or a developer or any business for that fact if they aren't able to manage their business in a proper way. It's definitely not up to us to give out the helping hand. If the builders want to do business with us, this town is a fantastic town, and this town will thrive. But we're not going to be opening up our wallets for them because they haven't been able to do their own due diligence and run a business properly. So I'm 100% against anything to do with offering any incentive program like this.
Councillor Morrison.
I think we need to, I know my fellow councillors right now have been focusing on the Meadows development specifically. My concern with doing this right now with the Meadows development, and I might be wrong, but I'm an avid MLS watcher. There used to be 8, Maple Crescent properties on the market, and now it's either 4 or 5, and that's all happened very, very quickly. The change, so either they've been pulled off or they have actually sold. So I don't know if it's the right time to actually put this in place. We're talking about a potential 1-year pilot program to look at it. And in actuality, maybe that is better set for when we're looking at the new development as opposed to this one, because it is actually, those properties are starting to move. And I don't think it's for us to say they're right sized or not right sized. The buyer will decide if they're right sized or not, and those properties are starting to move. So I don't know that we should be focusing in on the Meadow and putting it in place now. I think that this conversation could in actuality pause, and we could be looking at it for the new development if it needs be. And I really think that our focus should be on marketing our community and that public engagement of, Gibbons is open for business and we are here, we are strong, and we are resilient. And we don't need to be giving tax incentives right now. I think the market is showing that we don't actually have to.
Councillor Longstaff?
Just one comment and one question. In my opinion, I would think that if somebody can afford to purchase a house for $500,000 or $600,000, they could probably afford the tax. But my question is, if a property does not sell and it still belongs to the builder, are they paying property taxes on that, or is there just nothing being done? Okay.
Yes, through to Councillor Longstaff. Yes, as soon as the assessment comes online, which is always a year behind for tax assessment purposes, so it always trails. But we would make this incentive effective for the purchaser, not for the builder. So it'd be once the home is purchased, that's when the incentive would kick in, not for the builder or developer at that point. So it wouldn't benefit the builder outside of sellability in that way.
Thank you.
Councillor Brack?
Just kind of in regards to what Councillor Morrison had said about pausing the pilot project, I'm 100% in favor of just squashing it, to be honest with you. Even if it comes to the new subdivision, I would still be dead set against it. Right size it, build it properly. If you're relying on the town to kick back incentives or however you want to market it, look at it, that's not the right thing to do. The builders need to not be greedy, no different than the developers need to not be greedy. This town will survive. This town will thrive. We've got all of these industrial areas coming online, coming around, and Gibbons is the place to be. So regardless of whether it's the current subdivisions that they're in or whether it's new subdivisions, as Councillor St. Germain said, the developers will pay and the builders will pay. This isn't going to be a free ride as far as my vote would go.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions, comments? Can I get a motion, please? Councillor St. Germain?
I make the motion that council receive the residential growth and market confidence strategy for information.
All those in favor?
Can I make a friendly amendment?
Sure.
To Councillor St. Germain's motion, I would make an amendment that council direct administration to start to put forth a public engagement plan for the strength and viability of Gibbons from a marketability perspective.
I think perhaps carry through that motion and you can make your motion. Separate motion.
Different ones?
Yeah.
Sure, no issues.
Yep. So can you just repeat again? Sorry.
Yep. That I make the motion that council receive the residential growth and market confidence strategy for information.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous.
You guys are really mean to me. Can I make I move that council direct administration to develop a Gibbons growth and marketing initiative to support the promotion of the town of Gibbons to prospective homebuyers, builders, realtors, and to strengthen awareness of Gibbons as an attractive community in which to live, build, and invest. Written right there. Who knew?
Go ahead with your question.
My question would be, that wouldn't include any incentivization, it's just a strategy, right?
Through Mr. Mayor, we anticipated there could be some decisions, and so we separated the public engagement component versus the tax incentive. So if you vote down the tax incentive, it doesn't mean that it would be included in motion 3. So it won't be done.
So all those in favor of motion number 3? So carried. You sure? So carried unanimous. Now, residential tax initiative bylaw. I need somebody to make a motion in regards to that. You want it?
Sure. Where am I going?
This one right here.
Council direct administration to not prepare? Is that what you want me to say? Okay, to prepare. Oh, and then we vote no. Aye, I've got it. To prepare a residential new home municipal tax incentive bylaw for council consideration.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion defeated unanimously.
I would have liked to have seen you vote on that one.
Now, Mr. Mayor, can we take that? It's a long.
It's only been an hour and a half. Call a 10-minute recess.
Could we just
Twen-
finish the gym under new business and then do the bylaw?
Can we?
If you're hurting.
Take a break or do the gym?
Jim will take a while.
Okay, 10-minute break, 37 hours. All right, getting back to business here, 10.5. Gym discussion?
Through Mr. Mayor and Council, this was an addition to the agenda. We did have, again, so for awareness for council and our public, we had an incident at the gym last week, which required us to close the gym down, very quickly, considering the concerns for staff safety. Because of that, we conducted a very, very quick review and deemed that there were some changes that needed to be made from an operational perspective. And so we started working on that. We're looking at opening the gym as early as tomorrow, just so everybody's aware. And looking at improvements to basically the way that we approach again services for the gym, but also looking at ways of maybe saving a few dollars in relationship to the way that we operate the gym. And so we've done some study on that. That's not the reason for this report. Councillor Simonowitz asked us to provide some information for this evening for council discussion. So we put together an information report. And so the questions were basically how many members we have found. We've got approximately 74 members. I think 22 are from the county and the rest are from Gibbons. From a revenue perspective, this is a subsidized service, again, which is typical for municipal government. Recreation and gymnasiums are typically subsidized. We subsidize this. The plan was to subsidize about approximately $20,000, but the way it had been run is running into a significantly higher subsidy than what we were anticipating, and that's why we're starting to step in and make some changes. And so we're probably looking at a subsidy of upwards of $50,000 to $60,000 by the end of the year for the gymnasium. And again, membership fees are approximately $45 per month, and we have a number of different membership fees. And so I just want to provide the report for information. Councillor, you asked for us to provide this information for you for discussion, and so you now have the information report. I'll open it up to discussion and debate.
Simonowitz?
I'll just start out by, thanking the administration for putting this together. I know the timeline was kind of tight and I don't know who was all involved, but thank you, and because, I've heard different things about the gym all the time and, there was never any data, like, I don't know how many people go, I don't go. So, I used to belong to gyms in the fort and in Sherwood Park, but not anymore. After I became fully buff, I stopped. So I kind of was interested in the cost, how many people, how many from out of town, in town, the membership. I sort of answered all my questions sort of that way. I am concerned though, I think in regards to the subsidy that is required. Personally, my focus, as a counselor is on the sort of services for residents that kind of serve all. This is a pretty select group, and by all I sort of mean like water, sewer, garbage, roads, potholes, all those kinds of things, because everybody experiences that. So that is a pretty high subsidy. I'm not gonna argue against it in that sense, but it's pretty high. And then we have many other organizations and clubs within town that could benefit from a financial boost, for their operation. So I think there's got to be a happy medium and fairness there. I don't know what we can do, and hopefully I'm planning to hear some solutions to maybe reduce the cost or whatever. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Councillor Curry?
Yeah, I see Councillor Simonowitz's point there. And I agree if we can find some solutions to reduce costs more, because I like using the gym. I want to keep it going. So if we can find some ways, maybe there's a sponsorship, opportunity out there or something like that. I think it's worth looking into, even though I understand, yeah, it's kind of a select, smaller portion of people, but I think it's worth having in town. And I think, if people have more confidence in the place, maybe we can attract more members down the road. So yeah, I'm in favor of keeping it going, but yeah, finding ways to lower that subsidy cost.
Councillor Morrison?
you know, really what we're looking at is 52 members that are town residents, an annual fee to belong to the gym at $600, and a $1,200 annual subsidy for every member that from the town, from the municipality, for every member that every town member that is belonging. It's not balancing at all. So I don't know what the logistics are. I also gave up going to the gym about probably the same time that Councillor Swanowitz did. After I also got buff. But I'm wondering if it is feasible to put in a fob system where it's user driven as opposed to staffing being in there. I know from a community perspective, engagement in some classes have always been good, but user pay by class as opposed to permanent, not permanent staff, but staff being in there. So I'm wondering about more moving on the fob side than actually having individuals in to make it, to keep the service, because I would want to see that. But we need to balance that $600 to $1,200 subs.
Through the council, that is one thing that we are talking about doing. Now, the challenge around that is we do have a fob system that exists and we're going to leverage, but a lot of the automation requires separate entrances. So we have to look at what our options are around that. That's being investigated currently for next year's budget cycle, as well as what our insurance requirements will be to do a sort of an automated gym system. We did do something similar in Redwater, as an example. We do have a separate entrance. You know, we could model it similar to that, and that's what we're talking about doing. So we're hoping to have some discussion and maybe some budgetary discussion on how we go about that. But in order to continue operations right now, I believe my forecasted salary requirement was going to be around the $20,000 to $25,000 realm for the remainder of the year. So we'd be looking at our subsidy based on the forecasting that is in the report here. So it'll be higher than what we had originally planned and predicted on. So I guess at this point it's discussion and direction on how council wants us to proceed with the operations for the remainder of the year, where next year's operations will be part of our budget deliberations.
Okay, thanks. You know, getting this report for me personally, I totally felt that the resident attendance was a lot higher than 52. I think that works out to about 1.8% of our population. That's costing us 70 grand a year. So just I struggle with those kind of numbers, much like Council Morrison, the subsidy over and above what they pay for the facility. So yeah, we're already committed to this year. However, I think definitely be some deliberation come budget time in that regard. Councilor St. Germain.
So on number 5 on page 3, it says free memberships. Are we aware of who is receiving free membership to the gym? It's at the bottom. Under current membership fees, it says current memberships records also include annual 6-month and free memberships.
Oh, wait, I don't. Go ahead, Brian, if you have an answer. Free month membership is likely, and again, I'm partially guessing here, but I've seen these programs before. That would be our current system that's recognizing people that are first signing up, basically, prior to them becoming full-time members. And so when you sign up for a new membership, your first month is free. Our system probably recognizes them as 5 members are currently in the system of signing up before they transfer to the second month where they'll become paid members.
Oh, my understanding it was just a one-time, like a one.
No, I believe this is basically, again, we did check that there is some there is a program, I believe, where you sign up, you get your first month free, and after that it transfers over. But that is, again, we will follow up and get council with the correct information, but I believe this is tied to a program similar to that.
Okay.
Again, as far as I know, I don't know of any reasons why we'd be giving away free memberships. I'm not quite sure.
And I just have a follow-up question. Is the discrepancy related to the operating hours or overstaffing, or are we aware of why the discrepancy?
Yep. Through Mr. Mayor and Council, one of the things again, and I'll apologize to my colleagues because I've been working with the rec team and I have additional information that I hadn't shared with them yet. The gym currently is basically staffed from 5:30 in the morning until 8 in the evening with one individual on staff at all times. For municipalities of this size, typically, and even larger municipalities, we recognize peak times. So basically, you have morning peak, and then you have usually after work peak, and then sometimes maybe later in the evening. But the daytime is actually quite quiet. A lot of municipalities basically have the fob system and or an open door basically policy, which it very much states under your waiver that you use this gym at your own risk, and it's unsupervised. To be frank, again, before I became buff, as you mentioned, Mr. Simonowitz, used to go to Glen Allen Rec Complex in Sherwood Park, and it's like probably 5 times the size of a gym of the size that we have here, and it's an unsupervised gym, 100% all the time. There's no staff in there at any time, and so one thing that we've already talked about and we've worked with the staff on is developing a schedule where we work now from 5:30 to 8:30 with staff, and then between that time until 4 is going to be an unstaffed basically time, and then we're going to have an evening shift. If we run it like that, which is what we had anticipated and requested basically the staff do before we started this year, we would have run basically an on budget type of salary situation. So we're looking at savings right now and rededicating the staff to other casual work that we have budget for within the rec facility at this time. So we're looking at making the savings right away and implementing basically those changes right now.
Sorry, I just have one more follow-up question. So are our fees for the gym like on par with the same size facility in other communities?
We can certainly get that information. I'm unaware of other municipalities' fees at this time. I believe Millennium Card, for example, Strathcona County, I think it's about $50 a month as well. I think, but
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
yeah. Sorry, just to add to that, yeah, for the most part, they're very comparable to similar ones. I'm pretty sure if I'm remembering right, the Good Life membership in Fort Saskatchewan, as an example, is $45 a month. So they're fairly standardized. In regards to the free month membership, we will look further into that. That's something that just hadn't reached our attention at this point. So I do think that some investigation will be required into that, and we can report back.
Thank you.
Councilor Curry.
Don't up my fees, Charlotte. See, if you guys, I told you all to get memberships months ago. If you all got memberships with me, we wouldn't be having this problem. It would be, right? No, I want to take a moment here to recognize, like, as someone who uses the gym, I just want to recognize the culture that's been built there, starting with Jen on down through the staff, Karen, Aya, Sarah, everybody. It's been a wonderful place to go to. The culture there has just been incredible. Nothing but a positive place to be. So I just want to recognize that and say thank you to Jen and to all the staff there.
Okay, thanks. I think we need a motion, it looks like, for council consideration at the bottom of page 3, if somebody could do that, if they feel comfortable. Councilor Saint Germain.
I make a motion, is this the motion at the bottom of page 3?
Just accept this information, please, at
I'll
this
make a
time.
motion that we accept this as information. Thank you.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous. Moving on to bylaws and policies. 11.1 bylaw MOG 3-26. electronic attendance at council meetings.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, again, I am going to do my best to present Chris's reports that she wrote and was preparing for. One of the things that we require when a counselor is off-site and would like to attend meetings is a bylaw that allows for that individual to attend meetings electronically. This would include the ability to participate in the meeting, to vote in the meeting, and those types of things. And so it is required. Again, I got some advice from Des last week in relationship to what was required for this to be able to occur, because we have one counselor who is planning on taking a holiday here shortly and wanted to participate in meetings. We have to have a bylaw in place that allows for electronic participation. And so this is achieving that goal.
So question based on it'd be done through much like the Zoom, like when we had our previous OA.
Yes, through to Mr. Mayor. We will be working on some technology improvements and determining what our best course is for that. Likely to be Teams is usually the easiest one to work with for the meeting setup specifically, but there will be some technological considerations and things that we'll have to be doing in order to make this feasible for sure.
And I think has admin given any consideration to how you will ensure confidentiality during closed sessions in a absenteeism attendance?
Yeah, so sorry, further to that, there will be I guess a review of the current setup right now. We will be making some improvements, and then there will be alternate options that we'll have to consider on how we secure that, how we ensure whether it's just a matter of turning the broadcast off and just leaving the placeholder closed session in there. We'll administratively be looking at how we facilitate that and make it so that that is not a concern as it has been previously, for sure.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Saint Germain?
This is like to change it completely for everybody, right? Like not just for the
Just you.
one. Just me. No, this will be ongoing so that if people are away on holidays. Yeah.
Yep, this
Or-
is a permanent change in the way that we do business. That's correct. There's no issues here. Okay. Yep, this would be a permanent change in the way that we can approach our meetings. It's fairly common. I've seen this done many times with other municipalities, and so it would be a permanent change.
Thank you.
I'm sure COVID was a springboard to it, right? Any further questions? So we have the first, second, and third reading to do tonight, so I need a motion indicating such, one at a time. I guess there's a total of 4. Councillor Barak.
I make a motion that council give first, second, and third reading,
No,
or sorry,
one at a time.
council to do first reading to bylaw MOG 2-26, the electronic attendance at council meetings bylaw as presented.
3-26, but yeah. Oh, it's the bylaw itself says 3. Is it 2 or 3?
Sorry, it'll have to be 3. We have to do it per what the bylaw
No.
says.
Council refer to bylaw. Oh, that's MOG 26.
Mhm.
And this is a new bylaw, MOG 3-26.
Correct, and just in order to make it effective, it has to be what the bylaw says, not what the RFD itself says.
Right.
So,
So the RFD in here is indicating 2, and it should be 3.
correct.
Okay. Yes, please.
I motion that council give first reading to bylaw MOG 3-26, the electronic attendance at council meetings bylaw as presented.
Any further questions? All those in favor? So carried unanimous. Second reading. Any further discussion? Comments? Questions? That is correct. Just optional. Can I get a motion, please, on second reading? Council Breck?
Motion that council gives second reading to bylaw MOG 3-26, the electronic attendance at council meetings bylaw as presented.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous. So to move on to the third reading, we need a motion that we all agree to go to third reading at this meeting. So I need a motion to that to proceed to third reading. Counselor Breck?
Make a motion that council do a third reading to bylaw MOG 3-26, the electronic attendance at council meetings bylaw as presented.
All those in favor of proceeding to third reading? So carried unanimous. Okay, any further comments, concerns, questions before we proceed to third? Seeing none, all those in favor? Oh, I need a motion, please. Councilor Barak.
Motion that council give third reading to bylaw MOG 3-26, electronic attendance at council meetings bylaw as presented.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous. Thanks for that, Daryl. 11.2 bylaw alt 6-26 municipal credit card borrowing bylaw.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is one of the borrowing bylaws that's considered a short-term bylaw, and we try to keep it ongoing on an annual basis to satisfy the needs of our banks, basically. Previously, there had been sort of a consolidated bylaw and policy is how I normally structure these. So what we had done with this is I had, the bylaw itself just generalizes and speaks to the facility in place while we get into the sort of the weeds of the actual credit card system in the policy. So the first document here is the bylaw establishing the credit facility for the credit cards, and then we will in the next section of the agenda talk about the policy, which speaks to some of the specifics around the credit card system. So this bylaw is separate of our line of credit bylaw in that it's a ongoing rotating facility with a maximum limit, not an ongoing limit.
Okay, thank you. It doesn't specify the number of cards, and that's at the discretion of the CAO.
Correct. That would be spelled out in the policy. We'd have thresholds for the cards, maximums that they could be, but what we're establishing with the bylaws, the facility, the total dollar amount, and sorry, in this circumstance, there are two separate types of credit cards, but the total is 100,000 between the two of them.
Thank you. Any further questions, Council Morrison?
Just for clarity, rounding of our allowable 3.7 million line of credit, this 100,000 is part of the 3.7. It's an addition to.
Through to Council Morrison, in essence, the correct answer is yes. In reality, there's normally never a balance that carries year over year that's any different. We don't normally take this type of short-term lending in the credit limits just because that's such a small amount and it's an immaterial amount. That being said, like I said, the correct answer is yes, but it won't often affect our debt limits for that because it just rotates, right? It's technically we only hold the debt for a month in reality, so it doesn't stick around.
Councilor St. Germain.
I noticed here that there is an Avion commercial visa. It's my understanding that that has a fee as well as points attached. So I'm just questioning, would we not be better switching it to a non-point system? And if we do get points for that, where does those points go? Who utilizes them? And is this an unbudgeted expense? Because I think we ran into problems previously with unbudgeted expenses with the credit cards.
Through to Councillor Saint Germain, I believe all of the Visa cards individually have an annual fee to them, just because they're commercial cards. So there's not that I know of any no fee commercial cards. With respect to the points, I'll have to look into that for sure. It's probably sitting in a points bank somewhere that we haven't utilized, so it'd be something to look into and potentially something we could utilize for something, but we'd have to get council resolution to do that for sure.
Possibly something we could look at for the hometown weekend, as Councillor Longstaff just stated.
Absolutely, I'll make a note to. Yeah.
Any further questions? Seeing none, could I get a motion, please? Councillor Longstaff.
I move council gives first reading to bylaw alt 6-26 municipal credit card bylaw.
Any further questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? So carried unanimous. Okay, can I get a motion for the second reading? Councillor Longstaff.
I move council complete second reading of bylaw alt 6-26 of the municipal credit card bylaw.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? So carried unanimous. Can I get a motion that we proceed to third reading of alt 6-26, please? Councillor Longstaff.
No, that's you. I'll make the motion that we proceed to third reading of the bylaw alt 6-26 municipal credit card bylaw.
All those in favor of moving to third reading? So carried unanimous. And motion on the third reading, please. Councillor Longstaff. Thank you.
I move council completes third reading of bylaw alt 6-26 municipal credit card bylaw.
Any further questions on comments, concerns? All those in favor of third reading? So carried unanimous. Carried. Okay, policy GA 89-26.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as a follow-up to the bylaw, as I spoke to, there were in the previous bylaw a couple of things that we normally include in the policy, but not as much as we would normally want to include in the policy. So the purpose of this policy is both to protect the town and to protect cardholders in establishing responsibilities, rules, all kinds of that fun stuff. So I'll walk through some of the major items because this is in essence a new policy, but a common policy. It's something that we do in 95% of all other municipalities, and we want to build out a secure system for this. So at a high level, the goal is to set up the roles and responsibilities. So there's cardholder responsibilities that are spelled out in the responsibilities section. There's a schedule, a agreement that's included as well. So that's the cardholder agreement required to be signed by the cardholder prior to receiving the card. Speaks to upon termination, the requirement to return the card, the fact that the card itself is the property of the town, not the cardholder. Speaks to some of the expense reporting requirements. So on a monthly basis, as we do normally, the credit cards have to come with a summary of the expenditures. We report on the expenditures and code them appropriately. Whether they are lost or stolen, the reporting requirements. Another one that's often overlooked is we actually have to spell out the gratuity options. So in most cases, again, this is where I made a bit of a judgment call, but we generally say because it's taxpayer money, gratuity gratuities are generally limited to 15% unless the restaurant forces an increased gratuity. And then we then further get into the limits. So this is where we spoke to the credit card limits themselves and the number of credit cards. So rather than spelling out by position, because fluctuations can happen and we don't want to bring a policy back just because we have some change in positions or organization, we set not necessarily freedom for the CAO, but the authority for the CAO to determine what credit cards are required by position up to the limits that are specified. Now, these won't all be utilized up to these amounts because our limit, obviously, for the entirety of it is $100,000. So we won't be able to, not every director or manager will be able to get a card for $15,000 and have the CAO and executive assistant also have 30,000 each. Just we would run out of credit limit. So this is the upper threshold, but it's at CAO discretion to ensure that the right amounts are applied to the right positions based on that. There's also further restricted uses for the cards. I think there was a bit of this spoken to in the bylaw, but I really think this is important to flesh out the restricted uses for the cards because technically, a lot of these are fraudulent activities and fireable offenses, to be honest. So we want to make sure that we speak to this specifically in the policy itself for the restricted uses. If you look a couple pages further, just on Schedule A, again, just a boilerplate cardholder acknowledgement and responsibilities agreement. This is our way as the town of ensuring that cardholders have acknowledged and accept the responsibilities that they're undertaking for having a town issued credit card. Open to questions, discussion from there.
Councillor Saint Germain.
Should it not be spelled out in the policy in regards to the ramifications or possible ramifications, criminal charges or dismissal if improper use of a credit card is performed by an employee?
Is that not on Schedule A or at the very bottom of Schedule A? Any violation of this
Yes.
policy will be investigated and could result in termination and or criminal prosecution? Is that
That's
what?
exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you.
I was trying to I knew it was in there. I was just trying to find where it was. Thank you.
Sorry, I
Mr. Mayor.
missed it. Thank you.
Councillor Barak.
One of the questions that I have as far as, Brian, you had touched on it with gratuities, being that it is a corporate card and that the citizens are paying for it. It's my belief that I don't think a gratuity should be paid for by the town. I think the gratuity should be paid by the individual. I could be off basis, but that's just kind of my 2 cents on that.
Thanks on that. Yeah, I don't know. I've had corporate cards before, and it was almost an expectation. Doing company business, company foots the bill for it. But I see your point as well, being a taxpayer's base as well. So either way. I think Councillor Morrison.
I like that there's a cap on it. I don't think that you should restrict that just simply because it's not necessarily individuals having dinner. It could be a situation where it's the Christmas dinner, and you're getting a catered event and you're paying for it with a corporate credit card and there's a gratuity on the catered event. So I don't think that you restrict policy so much so that it can't be done. I think you can make that as a policy, or sorry, as a suggestion or a governance, but leave the policy with I think you said it was a 15% cap.
Councillor Saint Germain.
I just have a question. So if, say, the 100,000 is out there, like, what controls are in place? Because, like, what if that got spent every month, kind of thing?
Everything that we do purchasing wise has to follow our purchasing policy. So the credit card policy is just a method of giving us the ability to make the transactions on behalf of the town with something that's faster than issuing checks or doing EFTs. But that being said, any restrictions or requirements on actual purchasing itself falls under the purchasing policy directly. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
That does. Thank you so much.
Any further questions? Seeing none, can I get a motion, please? Councillor Longstaff?
I move council approves credit card policy and associated Schedule A, the cardholder agreement.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous. Before we move on to staffing reports, Mr. Hamel, how long do we anticipate the closed session to be? Because we'll need to add some time if we don't think we can get done by 10.
Through Mr. Mayor, Buffy had asked me the same question. I was pretty confident we could get through the information, but we are kind of moving into basically some tough water here. So, if council is willing to extend it, I actually plan
Whether
on,
we use it or not.
yeah, I would recommend extending it, but I will say this, though I wrote some lengthy reports for your digestion, tonight was basically be intended to be a handoff, not a deep dive into each one of the reports.
Okay.
So, I don't anticipate the in-camera being overly long. I'm gonna try and get through them as quick as I can. Ryan's kind of annoying his head. What do you think?
Councillor Longstaff? By an hour, probably. Yeah.
I move that council extend the time for tonight's meeting up to 2,300 hours if needed.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous. Okay, committee reports. I'll start. I don't think I had really any. No, I didn't have any. Councilor Smonowitz?
On August 2nd, attended the meeting with Minister Nally in Morinville and council. On the second, we had the council planning session. On the 8th, attended Harvest Days in Bon Accord for councilors breakfast. On the 17th of August, the Water Commission met in Fort Saskatchewan. And on the 17th, later on that day, we met again, subcommittee meeting. On the 19th, I attended the Bloom Variance Analysis webinar given by our illustrious CAO. And on the 19th, Gibbons Town Hall meeting with the Ministers Cooper and Nally. And today, the 25th, the Municipal Planning Commission. Just a couple.
Councilor, oh, sorry. Thank you. Councilor Breck?
August 4th was the strat planning. August 8th was the Bon Accord Harvest Breakfast with council members from Bon Accord, Redwater, and Legal. August 12th, I did the farmers market with the local library. August 16th was MP Michael Cooper meet and greet with, I went along with Councillor St. Germain. August 19th, Dale Nally and Michael Cooper Town Hall here in Gibbons, which turned out to kind of be more so about the data center than anything. And then August 20th, the data center town hall meeting in Redwater, and that was it.
Thank you, Councilor Curry.
Not much for me this time, just the strat plan. And then unfortunately I had to miss a lot of the ongoings there, just with a busy schedule with work and everything. But while I have the floor, I want to give a toast to one of the greatest entertainers, greatest humans who passed away this morning, Dolly Parton, at age 80. So I give a cheers to her.
Thank you. Councilor Morrison.
The 31st of July information session with MLA Nally and Invest Alberta. Representation from Legal, Bonaccord, Redwater, Gibbons. Sturgeon County was absent. On the 4th of August, lunch with Dale Nally and the Gibbons councillors, mayor and councillors. On the 4th of August, the Strat Plan. On the 8th of August, Bon Accord Mayor's Breakfast before the Harvest Day Parade. On the 14th of August, the ARB hearing. And on the 19th of August, the town community hall in Gibbons with MLA Nally and MP Cooper. On the 20th of August, the IA Alberta Data Center Town Hall in Redwater with MLA Nally and, I'm not going to say it correctly, Gluberish, Minister of Technology and Innovation.
Excellent, thank you. Councillor Longstaff.
Okay, 31st of July was the information session with our MLA Dale Nally. 4th of August, we had lunch with our MLA Dale Nally, and that same evening, I was with the Gibbons Fire Department as part of my committee meetings. 19th of August, I attended the Federal Provincial Town Hall meeting in Gibbons, and earlier this evening, I was with the MPC meeting.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Saint Germain.
So August 4th, we had the strat planning. August 8th, Bon Accord Harvest Days breakfast. August 16th, Member of Parliament Michael Cooper meet and greet with Councillor Barak. August 18th, I was volunteering at the youth center with my children for a tie-dyeing activity. August 19th, volunteering at the youth center with my daughter. We played volleyball. Well, I watched. I didn't play. August 19th, Dale Nally and Michael Cooper Town Hall in Gibbons. August 20th, Data Center Town Hall in Redwater. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Do I need a motion as information on that? Do you recall?
Yeah.
Can I get a motion on that to accept those reports as information? Councillor Saint Germain.
I'll make a motion to accept the councillor reports as information.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous. Correspondence. The only correspondence received this month was from National Police Federation of Alberta. Just presided, you guys all got copies of it, there's a PowerPoint presentation print offs in there with some information in regards to replace investment in the advancement of Alberta Sheriff Services and replacement of the RCMP policing. I'm sorry?
Can you read it to us?
Yeah, no, thanks. It's lengthy. It's a lengthy report. I guess we need a motion to go into closed session.
A motion to accept as information.
Okay. Well,
I'll make a motion.
not for
to accept-
correspondence. I don't
No?
think, do we? Yeah, all right. Okay, we need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to accept the correspondence as information.
All those in favor? So carried unanimous. And need a motion to enter closed session. Councillor Longstaff?
I move that council move into closed session under the Access to Information Act, sections 19, 20, 20.
Start at 16.2.
Yeah, but 19 is also in that one. I'm just doing them all at once. Under sections 19, 20, 26, 28, 29, and 30.
All those in favor? So carried.
And 32. I missed that one.
Closed session.